FMV Motocross Vacations, right?
I think the work that we did was just to be cautious, right? And I don't mind them too bad because
I'm not saying to bash on brands.
Yep.
Even though Dungy was going over there, I wasn't about to jump on the wagon, right? Motocross time with Dirt Bike TV right now. Right here we have a 2023 KTM 250 SXF from FMV, which is Factory Motocross Vacations, right?
Yep.
So this is Luc's company, and the little interesting story about this bike, I've known Luc for a while, and a funny story, you actually splashed me here like 15 years ago, right?
Yeah, that was nearly the end of our friendship within the first, week or two of knowing you. We were riding around, went through a puddle, absolutely soaked him. I've never seen him so mad in my life.
So that was a long time ago. But anyway, I've forgotten about it, obviously. So what we have here is this is your first rental bike with a new generation bike. And you said this bike's got nearly 100 hours on it. And so with used 250Fs, we've talked about this, the market can kind of suck for selling used bikes, especially 250Fs. So you decided, hey, let's freshen this thing up.
Yeah, exactly. So when I go to sell one of these, it's something with 100 hours, you're going to get maybe $3 or $4 grand, right? And this bike has been a trooper. I've never had an issue. Recently, I just went through, put a new wiring harness on it, and I was like, man, what could we do to really bring it back to life, make it look good, but also safe, right? And then see kind of like compare, right? If you're going to go buy a brand new bike, you're going to be 10 grand or so. And so in this case, you can put a couple grand into the bike and you're still going to be ahead and you're going to be a little bit more resourceful.
Exactly. And so one of the cool things is his company specializes in, there's lots of people that rent bikes, okay? But he specializes in bikes that are factory, so they always look nice and all run well. So that's kind of your shtick, right? Like that's what you're going for. If a guy just wants the cheapest thing, maybe not the place. He wants a quality bike. Everything's work. There's no leaky fork seals. There's no bald tires, that kind of thing, right?
Absolutely, right? And so I think that's one of my biggest goals is each bike has a pipe, an ECU, wheels, different suspension companies. And so I want each guy to be able to experience different things, but then also have a variant of, how each bike is set up. So maybe, I have a fast pro guy. Okay, this 450 is perfect for him. And then I have a slow vet guy. Okay, well then this 350 is perfect for him. And I love it because I ride them all myself as well. And so making a really cool trick bike is fun. And seeing the smile on the guy's face when they, when you show up with a bike like this, then it all is worth it.
And I know that Luc will even buy a bike for a certain group coming into town if they want a bike that they are committed and they're going to commit for a while. He'll actually buy it because then he can use it for other groups. So he'll really cater to those guys with those bikes, even an electric bike I saw a while back. So that's really cool. So that you can do that. So on this bike, I got a few photos, and I remember when you had this thing torn down, we got the frame to San Diego powder coating, which does an awesome job. They paint most of the frames in SoCal for a lot of the teams and riders and so forth. Donnie's bikes and stuff, even his UTV, roll cage, everything, man. They do huge stuff, and so they do a great job. They're down in El Cajon area. And when it was down, you got the full engine rebuild, and you have your own little side hustle where you do the factory refurb, right?
Yeah, exactly. So then that's where I kind of took all the different metal pieces, the throttle housing, the levers, all the bolts, and I put that in a tumbler, right? So I sandblasted it, then put it in a tumbler for 5 days. So that's partially why everything's reflecting like it is, because it does have a lot of polish on it, but it really brings stuff back to life. And then, I went through, I have a little homemade vapor blaster, so I vapor blasted everything, did the motor, did the swing arm to really make it look nice before we put the new bearings in that we got from Pro X.
So yeah, that's another thing is a lot of this hardware looks brand new, but it's just a lot of it's just been tumbled. So that's really cool. So we used a lot of good components from Pro X, Wiseco, chain and sprockets. Nackstar helped with the wheels. We got some good connections there, and of course DecalWorks Graphics, Moto Seat, FMF. Recluse, got some great companies on here. So looking forward to going riding it. We're going to get some, the faster shots will be Luc. I like riding 250s on the motocross track. I'm a 250 guy. I think I'm heading that way most of the time now because I just feel more comfortable on a 250F. And so I'm really looking forward to trying this bike. And I'm building one of these as well right now. So I'm looking forward to that as well. This one still has the air forks. So these are Racetech air forks. And I know they do a good job on the air forks. I'm still not a huge air fork fan, but for air forks, they seem pretty good. I know you already got a little time on them. So what'd you think already?
Yeah, for just being an air fork, I don't mind them too bad because I ride enough of the Austrian bike that I'm okay with it. They did a great job, right? So I had him do it for like a 180-pound intermediate, that guy. And I mean, I couldn't be happier for, giving this to the guests. I think this will be a perfect right in the middle setting for them. Very comfortable, good hold up. They've taken away some of that slap down feeling. So I think we made the air fork as good as we can make it in this case.
That's excellent. All right, so we're looking forward to riding it. I'm looking forward to riding it. So we're going to get out there, rip around a bit, and I'll report back a little bit of what my thoughts are on fixing up a 100-hour bike and saving some money on the flipping. And of course, there's a lot of money put into this. Someone wouldn't have to do everything on here to make a good running bike. You can tear it down and just do the basics. It doesn't have to look this pretty, but you can still do all of this stuff and make your bike running well and last another 100 hours, no problem. So we'll get back with you right after we get on the track. All right, just like I thought, it was really good. I was optimistically looking to that because I know the kind of work Luke does. I also know how good these KTM engines are, so I kind of thought of that. One of the common questions I get from guys a lot is how long can I go on a top end? How long can I go on a crank? Well, these KTM bikes, cranks, a lot of guys on these things can go 150, 200 hours. But as we said, Luke is he has a high-end reputation brand with his Vacations, so he doesn't want any potential time bombs out there, right?
Absolutely, right. And we went through, looking at the crank, looking at the piston, the wear on the cylinder, everything like that. You do a good job changing your filter, your piston, cylinder is all going to stay good. And we were very surprised to I think the work that we did was just to be cautious, right? And we already had it open, so we wanted to do it. But everything looked great inside. So yes, you can run these motors, these cranks, for a long period of time. And it just is a testament to how long these motors can last.
And a lot of the other brands, I know personally, the durability is not like that. So the internal components of these Austrian bikes, the cranks, the cam chain, valve train, all that kind of stuff, piston, all that stuff lasts so much longer than a lot of the other brands out there. And I'm not saying to bash on brands. And KTM, these bikes can have their own little weird things go wrong, electrical stuff, things like that at times, right? Some weird stuff. But overall, the engines are pretty dang impressive. And Donnie and I joke about this all the time, but like I would say 10 years ago would have been 14. Right? I would have bet you money. In 14, I would have said, there's no way I'll own multiple KTMs and ride multiple KTMs in my shop. Even though Dungy was going over there, I wasn't about to jump on the wagon, right? So, because some of the stuff was quirky. They got 13s, right? And things like that, and Torx heads and stuff. You're like, oh no, it's not as good. But we found out that a lot of it is. The durability is really good. So, and unfortunately, let's talk about this 250F thing a little bit. I like 250Fs. Like I said, on the track, I like 250Fs a lot, but resell, like we said. So this math works. So you and I were talking off camera here just a second ago. We feel like for $2,000, $1,500 to $2,000, you could go through your bike, maybe not make it look quite as nice as this, but go through the engine, check everything out, and get your suspension refreshened up, and have yourself a runner, and rather than losing a bunch of money selling it.
Absolutely, right. And I think a lot of the work that does make this bike look so good is a lot of polishing, cleaning up parts and pieces. Like these are the original levers, right? And they look great, but that's just a little bit of, elbow grease, right? Going through your stuff, taking care of it. Albeit we did change all the bearings and seals and everything like that, but a lot of it would have been okay as long as you stay on top of maintaining your bike, in intervals throughout its life. And so, yes, it does have some time on it, but when you take care of it, you do the proper stuff. I think in comparison, the money that we did spend on this, great outcome, and then it saves another bike, right? Now I can continue to use it for another year, and it's a looker and it's a lot of fun.
Oh, for sure. I think people are going to be stoked that rent this bike. So for me, the math, makes pretty good sense. And rather than sell the bike for $5,000, if you're lucky, out in California, 250Fs, I get a lot of guys writing me about bikes, and they live in areas, back east in areas, and there's not as many bikes for sale. Out west here, I tell guys, look, if you can somehow have a connection out west of somebody that can buy you a bike and you can come out and get it, that's the way to do it, because you can find deals on bikes out western region, Arizona, California, Nevada, those regions, way more bikes for sale. And so unfortunately, 250Fs guys want desert bikes, and so they want 450s. That type of thing is what they're looking for when they want, a desert bike, a 2 or 3 year old bike. That's what they're looking for, is that 450, maybe a 350, but 250Fs, just beginner bikes, and so they're not, the value's just unfortunate. So if you buy it, you got 10 to 11 grand in this thing, and after a year or two, you go to sell it for $5 grand. That's a big hit. So spending a couple grand to freshen it up is a pretty good option with some good components.
Yeah, absolutely, right? And then we kind of changed up the look. We did the orange frame, so it looks like the new factory editions that came out. I updated the shrouds to give it the 2025 look. Of course, like the amazing partners that helped out with this really helped bring this bike alive. And then yeah, like it's nice to be resourceful and make this thing fun again.
Okay, so a couple little things I want to mention from some companies that helped us, and we might not, just glanced over. Langston's Performance, which is Andrew Langston, helped us with the crank rebuild. ICW with their radiators, moto seat cover. Also, a lot of the little components and trick pieces, Luke sources through MX Locker. Good place that he goes to help find those good used parts and gear, right?
Yeah, absolutely, right? Like this set of triple clamps, the split clamps, is just a KTM power part. Got these for a good deal. Re-grease the bearing, throw a new bearing in there, and add some more bling to the bike, which is cool.
Guys love that, especially when they're coming from Europe, wanting to rent a bike. They want to have something really trick looking to send photos back for the gram, right? So really cool bike. Had fun riding it, and we'll have something coming soon from us on a similar bike. Not quite as pretty as this. I'm not powder coating the frame or anything. We just want to have us a beater, so to speak. So it'll kind of be like the budget part of this bike. I have a 23 with more hours on it that's been rebuilt, but it doesn't look this pretty. So, but it'll be close. It's the frame. We're not painting the frame or anything like that. So we'll have that coming soon. So hopefully you guys like what we're doing. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. And thanks to Luke and Donnie. See ya.